What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. In today's video, we'll be doing a season preview for Pistons rookie Bobi Klintman. We have been doing season previews and will continue to do season previews for every player on the Pistons roster. We started with the youngest, we're working our way up to the oldest, which means we've already covered Holland and Jalen Duren on this channel. So in this video, we'll cover a little bit about his previous experience and last season. We'll go over 3 strengths to expect from Bobi this upcoming year, 1 weakness to expect, a swing skill, and then try and predict where he will be at in the rotation. So Bobi Klintman played 1 year at Wake Forest fresh out of high school before going over to the NBL where he spent last season. In case you guys don't know, the NBL is the top pro league in Australia. It's a grown man league. There's former NBA players in there. It's relatively competitive. Last year in the NBL, he averaged 10 points per game with 5 boards on a pretty solid team. He was a true rotational player who was getting serious minutes in that league, which in my opinion is a pretty good sign. So 3 strengths to expect from Bobi this upcoming year. We'll start it off with the shooting. He is a true power forward at 6'9", 6'10", and he does have the ability to shoot the ball, and that was on display in the Summer League. He shot 42% from 3 in the Summer League. I'm not too crazy about looking at a 5-game sample size, seeing that he shot 42% and saying, yep, that's the reason why I think he'll be able to shoot. But rather, just looking at the film, looking at his mechanics, looking at his confidence while shooting the ball, the types of shots he takes, I think all of it looks really good. During the Summer League, which is where I saw the bulk of Bobi play, because of course I wasn't watching the NBL on a regular basis last year, he could shoot the ball. When he caught the ball and had even a decent look at a 3, there's no hesitation in it. There wasn't many situations where he caught the ball, thought about it, and then swung it, or caught the ball, thought about it, and then shot it. He'd catch the ball in one motion and let it fly, and he did see pretty good results doing that. So I do think that leaves a lot of optimism about his shooting, not only in this upcoming season, but going forward. The mechanics look good. I think that for a power forward, he's way ahead of the curve as far as a shooter goes, and I think that that'll be something that will instantly translate when he does get his chances on the floor this upcoming year. Another thing that probably we should have talked about first, because I think this surprised most of us more than anything during the Summer League, is a strength, and that is his ability to pass the ball. Now, bigs, they're like him, that are 6'10", and the way that he passes the ball is not something that you find every day. I know a lot of people, like Jack Kelly, who's another Pistons fan, Pistons intellect, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. He lives in Australia, so he was more familiar with Bobi Klintman than the majority of other people that are fans of this franchise. And he said that the passing was a little bit there last year, but not like we saw in the Summer League. I know that he did play point guard in his childhood days. Maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe it's something new developing. But all I know is that he could pass the ball at a super high level for a big during the Summer League in the 5 games from him that I watched. Whether it was just making a simple one more type of pass, or it was catching the ball on the short roll and then making a dump down pass, or even in transition, some no-looker fancy alley-oop passes, some lobs, things like that. He really showcased his ability to pass, which, like I mentioned, is not something that you see every day out of a 6'10" power forward. So I think that'll be something that translates very easily, especially because it wasn't just passes where he was getting a ton of opportunities and just gambling with it. It all felt fluid. It felt in motion. And I know it's a bit of a buzzword, but he just had a very good feel for the game for a rookie. And that's kind of what I want to talk about for his next strength, is just his overall basketball IQ. Not only was his ability to pass the ball really, really good in the few games of Summer League that he played, but his basketball IQ outside of passing was there as well. Whether that was relocating after making a pass to go get an open look for a 3 and get it back and shoot it, or just general positioning on defense, being in the right spots at the right time, his feel for the game and overall IQ felt very, very good. He looked really, really comfortable, especially considering that this is his first Summer League. It felt like he was much more equipped and ready to play at a high level than most of the players that he was playing against, and also even most of the players on the Pistons Summer League roster. He felt super, super comfortable out there, didn't overthink things. There was minimal amounts of lapses or turnovers or anything like that. So I do think his basketball IQ and feel for the game is another thing that will be a strength this upcoming year. One thing to expect to be a weakness will be his driving and strength. During the times in the summer league where we watched him play, there was not very many opportunities for him to go to the hoop. Didn't see really any rim finishing from him. Normally when he did drive, what we saw as a result of that most of the time was really good looking passes out of the drives, but we didn't really see him use any strength or size that, he has the size now and he doesn't quite have the strength. We didn't see him use either of those things to score at the rim. So I wouldn't expect to see Bobi Klintman getting downhill and going and dunking on dudes consistently in his rookie year. I think that is something that'll have to come and be developed over time. His swing skill is going to be his defense. Right now, as I mentioned, his IQ, ability to be in the right spots, definitely seems like it's going to be good, but he isn't exactly super strong yet. He still looks like he could be filled out quite a bit. I think being with NBA level trainers and things like that, and also just generally growing up, will be a big plus in that department. But right now, I think the biggest swing skill is going to be defense, and that's going to lead us into predicting where he will be at in the rotation. Because I think a lot of where he'll be in the rotation will depend on that swing skill. So this is going to be one of the trickiest, if not the trickiest predictions we make, because right now it's really, really hard. Because very, very infrequently will you see a guy who's a second round pick come into the NBA and get serious minutes straight away. So it's really hard for me to sit up here and say that I think he will be getting 20 minutes a night right off the bat. But what I do think will happen is I think that he will get his chances, and where he will be at in the rotation throughout the year will be dependent on how he performs in those chances, but most importantly, if he's able to keep up defensively at an NBA level, which was his swing skill we mentioned. It's so hard for me to predict Bobi Klintman. I had direct answers for minutes per game on Jalen Duren, for Ron Holland, and will have serious good predictions for how many minutes per game I think most other players on this roster will have when I do the reviews for previews for them. But for Bobi Klintman, it's just so up in the air that I don't even feel comfortable giving a number for the entire season. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that he will get a few chances early in the season to play rotational minutes, and how he performs in those minutes specifically will either lead to him getting more and more minutes, especially considering that we're not exactly deep at the big spot. I think that the opportunity can be there if he succeeds when giving chances. But if he doesn't perform well in those minutes, there's a very high likelihood that he could be completely out of the rotation, or even spending some time with the Motor City Crews in the G League. So let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of you all are super excited to have Bobi on the roster, as am I. So looking forward to catching up with y'all soon.